Hey, what's up guys? My name is Thomas Spark and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be dispelling 5 VPN myths. You shouldn't believe any of these things that people tell you about VPN. Now, why should you trust me? Well, I've been reviewing VPNs for like 5 years, since 2015. I've reviewed more than 50 VPN providers, so suffice to say, I've been around the block. A lot of times VPN myths are propagated by people who just review VPNs to make commissions, people who think they know a lot about VPNs but actually haven't reviewed that much. But as a VPN expert, I'm here to dispel these myths and let you know the truth about VPN. The number one myth is that VPNs are hard to use. Now, VPNs used to be harder to use back in the day. VPNs originally kind of were used mostly by corporate offices and stuff like this to protect customer data. Usually what would happen is that IT guy would come over and install VPN on the employee's computer, and then they would use it when they're at home or traveling to protect data. But right around in 2012 or so, more and more people started using VPNs at home to protect and encrypt their internet activity. A lot of people were doing this to protect their torrent IP so they could download stuff without worrying about emails to their ISP from copyright trolls. But this is also when the Snowden revelations came out, and a lot of people started wondering how they can protect their online information when at home. A lot of times people would be journalists as well, traveling the world, and they would want to encrypt their traffic and stuff like that in public Wi-Fi hotspots. A VPN kind of became a popular tool alongside other tools like password managers, antivirus, and general internet privacy security measures like Tor were also becoming more popular. It was around this time that VPN actually became very popular. So while VPN was getting more popular at home use, more and more VPN providers started popping up. I would say around 2012 is when most of the big VPN providers kind of became a thing. And this was at the same time they were developing like their own first party applications for you to use. A lot of times what would happen is before these VPN companies were making their own applications, people would use OpenVPN and they would have to install configurations and their own kind of servers and stuff like this, which was a little bit of a hassle. But when VPN companies started designing their own applications, this is when usability started to become much more of a thing for VPN providers. When I first started reviewing VPNs around 2015, even back then, VPNs were more clunky and troublesome to use than they are now. I would find that a lot of VPN providers, the applications themselves were a little bit tricky to install, but a lot of times there was bugs. The interfaces themselves were a little trickier to use. A lot of times servers wouldn't connect right and connection problems were frequent. And nowadays VPNs have become much more polished and easy to use. A lot of them have actually copied each other and stolen features from each other. Interfaces are very commonly kind of shared between VPN providers, and VPN providers themselves and the applications have become very streamlined and easy to use nowadays. In fact, in 2016, a lot of VPNs had problems unblocking geo restrictions and services like Netflix. And while that's still a problem to this day, not every VPN provider will unblock a lot of streaming services. There are much more providers that do so than back in 2016. In fact, back in 2016, the only services that really worked with unblocking Netflix were stuff like TorGuard VPN due to their dedicated IPs, and stuff like ExpressVPN that was just so big that it could just kind of throw money at the problem and get people to access Netflix by switching servers over and over. But the bottom line is that VPNs have come a long way and they're much easier to use nowadays. And I wouldn't say they're hard to use at all. Mostly what you do is sign up for a VPN service. If you want to know which one to use, I recommend checking out VPN tier list to see which one to use. But once you find the one you want, you pay for it. Usually it's by subscription per month. You download the application, you enter in your login credentials that you received in an email, you go ahead and enter those credentials, you pick a server that's nearby your location, or a server that is where you want your location to seem as if it's coming from. You click connect, you're connected, and that's pretty much it. Now, of course, it could get more confusing when you're considering how to use it on a router, or if you want to use it on your TV. The most easy way to use it on your TV is, of course, to pick something like a Fire Stick up and install VPNs that way, because you can go to the Amazon store and download VPNs and install them that way. I would say that the second myth is that you need to pick a VPN that is based outside of the 5 and 14 eyes, when in reality, what this really means is that you should be using a VPN in an offshore based location. So most people will recommend you to use a VPN based in Panama or the British Virgin Islands, and these two locations locations are actually the most common locations for offshore based VPNs or VPNs that are using shell companies. These VPNs are basing their jurisdiction legally in these locations. Are they actually headquartered there? Well, no, not at all. If a VPN is in a certain country and the spy agency knows they're in this country and they have their headquarters in this country, there have been cases of companies like IPVanish, which are based in the US, giving up logs to spy agencies. But there have also been companies like PureVPN, which are based in Hong Kong, that have also given up logs to spy agencies. So it's not really true that you need to pick a VPN based outside of the 5 and 14 eyes. It's more important to pick a VPN that doesn't log, has no history of logging, and is transparently owned so you can feel safe knowing where they are headquartered. Honestly, I would rather just pick a VPN that is transparently owned and you know where it is. In fact, I've polled users on my channel, and 61% of people on my channel would rather pick a VPN that is more transparent and based within the 5 and 14 eyes than pick a VPN that is using an offshore based location where they are not sure that they can trust them. Another popular myth is that the most popular VPN equals the best VPN. Now, I've kind of looked at the most popular VPNs by their Alexa ratings, which is kind of rating them by how much traffic they get. And some of the most popular VPNs out there are stuff like ExpressVPN, NordVPN, CyberGhost, IPVanish, Windscribe, Surfshark. Some of these VPNs are very popular, but most of these VPNs actually aren't rated that high in my tier list. Actually, some of the best VPNs are actually not that popular. Stuff like TorGuard is pretty much middle of the line in terms of popularity, and it is by far the best VPN. If you haven't checked out my review on it, go ahead and check out the TorGuard VPN master review on the channel. I spent a lot of time on it and it's very good. Other VPNs like AirVPN aren't that popular at all, but they provide excellent security and customization with their apps. They're extremely cheap and very fast. VPNs like Movad are very trusted in terms of reputation and transparency, are pretty affordable. Don't even have affiliate programs, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily that popular. You won't see it on any review sites out there at all. Another popular misconception or myth is that long-term VPN deals are good deals. So a lot of times I'll get comments from someone on my channel saying like, oh, why did you rate this VPN so low? Or, hey, maybe you suggest this to people to download. I'll get people saying like, hey, I just got PureVPN for 5 years for like $80. Sometimes people will say, hey, I just got a lifetime subscription to this VPN for like $20. Sometimes people will say, you know, why are you saying Surfshark isn't a cheap VPN when I just got like 3 years for like $90? Or maybe I just got NordVPN for $120 for 3 years. It's a good deal. That's because I don't think long-term subscriptions are good deals. You shouldn't trust a VPN for any length of time past maybe a month, 6 months, or at most a year. And only pick a yearly VPN subscription if it's within tier 1 or tier 2 on my website. But honestly, guys, I don't really think long-term subscription plans are good deals because you shouldn't trust a VPN for that length of time. VPNs and online companies themselves can often be bought out. So maybe after you buy a 5-year subscription, it turns out that the company sold their company to another company, and now the VPN that you bought is now owned by a company that you no longer feel like you can trust. And in fact, this has happened. This happened with private internet access. People bought long-term subscription plans with them, and it turned out Cape bought them. And now people are like, well, now what happens? I don't want to have a 2 to 3 year subscription with private internet access since I don't trust Cape. But after 30 days, they're not obligated to give you a refund because that's their refund policy. So these kind of things happen. They do happen, and this is one reason why you shouldn't buy long-term subscription deals. Not only that, but the VPN provider you picked could have a data leak. This happened with NordVPN. A lot of people were upset and they requested refunds with NordVPN. Now, this was such a big scandal, such a big leak, such a big hack, such a big deal that NordVPN started giving refunds away to people just to save some face. But it just goes to show that so many people were upset that they wanted nothing to do with the VPN anymore. Honestly, I would only ever recommend signing up 1 to 2 year VPN deals with maybe my tier 1 VPNs. Because those ones you can trust, but every other VPN, there's a possibility it gets bought out. There's a possibility of data leaks. There's a possibility of a lot of things happening that you can't account for and you shouldn't account for when buying VPN long term. Another common myth I see is that you don't need a VPN. There has been a lot of VPN backlash after NordVPN got hacked, because understandably so, it was proliferating the entire YouTube space with copious amounts of misleading advertisements. from shills pretty much. But you know, the popular thing is to say now is like, you don't need a VPN. People will post some kind of stupid GitHub links, or so you'll see some video on YouTube from some guy who doesn't know anything about VPN, saying, oh, you don't need a VPN. Now, it's true that not everyone needs a VPN. VPN is and has always been a specific niche kind of product, and there are a couple reasons why people do need VPN and a lot of reasons people don't need VPN. The simple thing is that you should use VPN if you want to torrent content, you don't want copyright trolls to bug you. You should VPN if you want to have a little bit more security when in public Wi-Fi hotspots like airports or hotels and stuff like that. You don't want your information leaking out. VPNs are also good if you want to change your IP address, especially for unblocking geo restrictions and stuff like that. Sometimes you could bypass blocks and chatting apps if your IP is blocked for whatever reason, or if you get banned from chat rooms, it can be useful there to change your IP. Sometimes you want more anonymity when posting on message boards. You don't want these message boards knowing your IP. A lot of times, you know, kind of unsavory characters or criminals could use VPNs to hide their activity and stuff like that as well. So I guess those people also have a use case for it. So there are a lot of reasons to use a VPN. Now, does everyone in the world need one? Of course not. But like I said, geo restrictions, torrenting, sometimes you could get early access to games, changing your IP, and any other reasons that I might have missed are pretty good reasons to use a product. I mean, people aren't necessarily buying VPN because they just think it's cool to have one. They usually are people who want to torrent or do something with it. So guys, that's my opinions on VPN. There are 5 VPN myths you shouldn't believe, and I hope I give you clear evidence as to my thoughts on that matter. And let me know down in the comments down below if you've seen any VPN myths that really bug you that you don't think are true, and I'd be interested to read those. Anyways guys, thanks for supporting this video, and I'll see you again in the next one very soon.